My name is Tenshi Kawashima. I am a graduate research assistant at Center on Human Trafficking Research and Outreach here in University of Georgia. So it's Jiacheng Li and Hongju Park. I am from the sociology department, and Jiacheng and Hongju are from statistics department. Today we are going to share a little bit about the methods we are using to get the prevalence estimation of human trafficking in Sierra Leone and Guinea. So first of all, I'm going to go over quickly about the assumption of NSUM, or network scale-up methods. So this method was developed to help estimate hidden populations or hard-to-reach populations. There are a group of people who share stigmatized characteristics, such as people with HIV, or people who use drugs, or people who have been trafficked before, and so on. Because if we ask like directly, have you ever been trafficked, it's unlikely that we get the honest answer. So instead of asking directly about the respondents themselves, we instead use individual social network to estimate the number of people who have been trafficked. So we instead ask, how many people do you know who have been trafficked? So first of all, we will have to determine the respondents' personal network size, or how many people they know in the region. So for example, how many I know in Athens. So for example, if respondents on average reports that they know 100 people, and they on average report that they know one person who have been trafficked, then we can estimate that 1 out of 100 people, or 1% of the general population, had been trafficked. So we assume that the individual social network is generally representative of the population. So to determine how many people a respondent know on average, or the personal network size, we ask questions. We estimate that by asking subpopulations questions, which we will discuss later. I will turn it to Hongju.
Hello, I'm Hongju. I'm going to talk about 2 examples of NSUM. Here is a society of 100 people. We are interested in how many people in the hidden population. Red dot, red people, represent the people in the hidden population here. And we have 10 reds and 90 blues. Blues are not in the hidden population. So true value, true proportion of the hidden population here is then 10%, the 10 out of 100. So through the respondents, we have 3 respondents here. Green peoples are respondents. We are going to ask 2 questions. How many people in the hidden population you know? And how many people you know in this society? So these orange boxes represents this network size of the respondents. For example, the leftmost respondents, the network size is 14. So out of these 14 people, there are only 2 red people. So for these respondents, the proportion of the hidden population estimate is 2/14. So similarly, we are doing the same thing for the second respondents and the third respondents. So the mean number of people in the hidden population for these 3 respondents is 2 plus 4 plus 2 divided by 3, which means 2.67. And mean network size of these 3 respondents is 14 plus 24 plus 14 divided by 3 is 17.3. So using this number, we are going to get NSUM estimator, and 2.67 divided by 17 is 15.3. That's the estimate by NSUM for the hidden population proportion. So any question for this figures or something? Okay, I'm going to turn to Jiacheng.
Yes. Tenshi, can you go next slide? Yeah. since the reason why we choose NSUM is because it's hard for us to ask questions directly to these hidden populations like children, or so the advantage of this method actually allows us to estimate the hidden population without interviewing the member of the target population, especially the hard-reach populations. And it also can accommodate it to other survey questions by adding a few questions. However, the length of the survey questions actually affect the data quality. So I think it's worth for us to study how we're gonna come up these survey questions and how long it will be, and which question should go first, and which questions should we include it. It is also very useful for the prevalence estimation of human trafficking victims. However, there are several challenges we are facing. For example, the accurate and reliable knowledge on the known population is desirable, because the whole idea of NSUM actually is based on the estimation of the network size. However, the network size is from the subpopulation questions, and the subpopulation questions are those known subpopulation question data are from the administered data. So the reliable administered data is very important to produce accurate estimator. And however, in reality, the population census commonly takes place every 5 years. Therefore, the estimation and prediction across reference populations at the current year is needed. So we need to extrapolate, like if we only have the administered data in 2015, but the survey takes in 2020, then we need to extrapolate the reference population from 2015 to 2020, and there will be error happens. Moreover, the census and official data at various regions, particularly in underdeveloping countries, are often incomplete and inaccurate data. That's why choosing the subpopulation questions in the survey is challenging. We need to, because the estimator can be improved by increase the number of subpopulation asked about. But in the developing countries, the administered data of these known subpopulation questions are limited. We need to choose those subpopulation questions from this limited pool, and we also need to see what questions need to included. Next slide, please. So we want to discuss with you about these following two questions. First is based on the assumption of NSUM. What is the best approach to interview in the survey, such as like what subpopulation questions should we include or avoid based on the assumption? Another is there any suggestions on how to tackle the challenges we are facing, just mentioned last slide? Any questions or suggestions are welcomed.
I guess I'll ask a question. So first of all, very interested in this. I think it's fascinating, like this approach compared to some of the things that you more typically see, like the biology geared, like, you know, tagging duplicates and like a subpopulation type approach. When you say that you're working with, you know, talking about like census data and whatever, have y'all thought about which way you're leaning with that in terms of like the survey questions that whatever you end up on? Do you think that you're going to be looking to include in like, state-produced census data as like a question? Are you going to be looking at something like a world value survey that's like a more global distribution and like asking the same types of questions in each country? What are you thinking about doing there?
When we developed the survey to include the subpopulation questions are supposed to kind of help measuring how many people respondents know. So these, like, the example questions would be, how many people do you know who wear glasses, for example? And then we also have the information about the population who wear glasses. Like, so we know the answer to the question. So for example, we know how many people in this region of Guinea who wears glasses for vision correction or something like that. So we usually use the census data rather than like ISSP or worldwide value survey, because we need the actual number of people who falls into the subpopulation so that we can measure the respondents' personal network size. Yeah, so for the Sierra Leone, we use the census, and also what else did we use? I'm looking a DHS survey. And for Guinea, we used also census data, and also mix data. What does, I forgot what it stands for, by UNICEF, I think. Sorry if I'm sharing the screen, so I can't really check it right now with my computer, but I can share what information we used to calculate the subpopulation data. If you are interested in the survey too, we can share that with you too if you would like. Is there anything that you want to add, Jiacheng and Hongju, about the questions we used, like the data source? And
Yeah, I think that is correct.
I have a question. I am still trying to get my head around how, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to ask this question correctly, but how is it that you chose 10% as the number to represent a hidden population? I'm just confused about your starting place. I kind of, you can look at the chart, the toy example, and see it visually, so that's great. But I just kind of can't get how that was your starting place.
Yeah, so I could say that, so the basic assumption of NSUM is like the personal network size. So for example, I know 10 people who are primary school teacher, but I know total 100 people. So 10 over 100 is my network size, the primary teachers percentage. The assumption of NSUM is the whole region's primary school teacher over whole region population is same as my network size percentage. That's the assumption of NSUM. So in order to know the hidden population, right? So I'm the respondent. Some people interviewed me, asked me how many people, how many trafficking children I know. Over my network size is the total child trafficking people over the total population. That's how we estimate the hidden population. So in order to know my network size, I need to be asked a bunch of subpopulation questions to estimate each respondent's network size. That's how this method works. I hope it answers your question.
Yes, that's helpful. So then I'm presuming that further conversation is something like, I may be, let's say I'm in an educational, like I'm in my world is education. So I'm going to know a lot of people that are teachers and a lot of people that are students, but somebody else is going to not have that world at all. So that's why you've got these different little groups
that is true.
On your, okay.
Yes,
okay.
That's why there are 3 very important errors in this method, like transmission bias, recall bias, and what is the other one?
The barrier bias.
Yeah,
what
the
you
barrier
what
bias.
Stephanie just described. Yeah.
Yes. So we need to improve our survey questions to tackle those biases.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think that'll be all our presentation, Rebecca.
We still have a few more minutes for yours. So maybe Tenshi, if you could go to the last slide again. Thank you to Matthew and Stephanie for your questions. Love to hear from others if you have thoughts, responses to these two questions that Jiacheng, Tenshi, and Hongju have presented to us.
I have a question. Thank you for this presentation. I know that you both have been in this data significantly. And so what type of unexpected things have you seen that have come up, or ways that you've seen challenges and been able to really kind of overcome them in some way or other?
Yeah, the one I can recall is about so when we estimate the network size for respondents, so I know in sociology, the network size normally, each people's network size normally is around 100, 300 people, but due to the survey questions, maybe it's too long. Some people might answer really random numbers in the end. So the estimation of the network size could tend to be really large, maybe over 400 people. So how we deal with that is we use the top coding strategy to because in real life, we know that most people, a reasonable network size is 300. So we just top code those network size to prevent those extreme large network.
Yeah. When people get tired, when they were asked Stephanie just pointed out, how many, preschool teacher do you know? Oh, I know about 20, for example, when they are exactly, for example, stressed or not stressed, tired, people tended to report random numbers. So we saw a lot of 20s in our answers, right, Jiacheng, or those clean numbers rather than saying 7 or 6. So we could kind of see that maybe they might not be the accurate numbers and so on. So we have to work on how to reduce that kind of problem, fatigue problem, and so on.
So Tenshi, I just curious to know, when you ask the question, how many people do you know that population, from that particular population, and when they answer you with a number, do you usually validate that number? Is that a correct number they're saying? Is just on that moment, on that spot, they might have mentioned about 5 people, but in reality, maybe they know more than 5 people. So how find out that?
Yeah. So before we ask the question, we kind of give an example to tell them what it means to know somebody, because we are interested in only somebody when you have communicated with this person in the past 2 years, either in person or by email, and this person by name and by appearance, and the other people recognize you by name and appearance and so on. So we wanted to be specific about what we mean about to know somebody. So we kind of give an example before we ask those questions, but we don't have a way to kind of validate the answer if that's the actual number, because it doesn't mean that the respondents are remembering correct information at the moment. Yeah. It's a great point. Thank you.
I have a question about what you just said then, because I mean, because I've been living a lot of years, I know a lot of people that I haven't been in touch with, say, for the last 2 years. So I'm kind of wondering why you limited yourself to that period of time.
Yeah. Why did we limit it to?
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is correlated, but I know in the context that this survey is being done, especially in West Africa, there's not as much moving away as that you would see in the US. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that's kind of one of my educated guesses.
Yeah, it might not be counted as personal network anymore, and the people might have moved out from the area too. Also, we are asking about the people who live in the area so that we can get the estimate for the specific area in Sierra Leone and Guinea. So maybe that's also the reason. Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's our time. Yeah, might be over. So thank you so much for great questions.